Shadows on Oakdale Road. The Unsolved Murder of Eustace Compass. Welcome to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast, where we dive deep into the mysteries that have lingered in the shadows of our province for far too long. I'm Jay Nicoll, your host and a private investigator with Nicoll Investigations, dedicated to shining a light on these unresolved stories. Today we're stepping back over 3 decades to November 1990 to a quiet street in Vaughan. It's a place where an ordinary home became the scene of a chilling crime. A crime that remains unsolved to this day. This is the story of Eustace Compass, a man whose life was cut short by a single bullet, leaving behind a puzzle that investigators are still trying to piece together. So settle in, because we're about to unravel a case that's as complex as it is haunting. Let's begin. Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. It's a gripping true crime podcast uncovering unsolved murders, disappearances, and forgotten crimes from Ontario and beyond. Told with deep research, compelling storytelling, and a voice for the victims. Join us today, where every clue could lead to answers, and every case deserves a second look. The discovery, a shocking scene. November 7, 1990. The leaves are falling, the air is crisp, and the residents of 3 Oakdale Road in Maple are going about their day. But something's off. The garage door of Eustace Compass's home has been open all night. A detail that stands out in a neighborhood where Compass was known for his meticulous habits. His neighbors, concerned by this anomaly, alert the authorities. York Regional Police arrive, expecting perhaps a welfare check. What they find inside is far more grim. They step through the garage and into the house, making their way to the master bedroom. There, sprawled naked across the bed, is 43-year-old Eustace Compass. A single .22 caliber bullet wound pierces his head. The scene is stark, unsettling. The discovery followed the finding of a stolen 1989 Burgundy Chrysler LeBaron convertible, abandoned at Town and Country Square Mall, now Centrepoint Mall, near Steeles Avenue and Yonge Street in Toronto. Compass was last seen around 5 p.m. on November 6, 1990, at a Supercenter grocery store in Richmond Hill, accompanied by a young blonde male, believed to be in his 20s and somewhat taller than Compass, who was 5 feet 6 inches tall. Neighbors were alarmed by the open garage door overnight. The police noted that several personal belongings, including a $50 watch, $50 gold tiger eye ring, his wallet, jewelry, and a sterling silver fine tea set, were missing, though no high-value items were taken. This discovery marks the beginning of a mystery that has stumped investigators for over 30 years. Who was Eustace Compass? And what led to this violent end? So who was Eustace Compass? To understand this case, we need to know the man at its center. Eustace Compass was born in Spalding, Jamaica, the youngest of 11 children. His siblings were spread across Jamaica and the UK, a family tied by roots but separated by distance. 5 years before his death, Eustace made the move to Canada, settling in Vaughan just north of Toronto. By all accounts, he was a private man. Some might even say secretive. He worked as a freelance accountant, a job that suited his reserved nature and attention to detail. His neighbor described him as someone who kept to himself, a figure who didn't invite questions about his personal life. But Eustace had another side, one he kept hidden from his family. To them, he maintained the image of a man interested in women, a facade that concealed his true identity. In reality, Eustace was an active member of Toronto's gay community. He was a regular at bars like Chaps and Colby's, places where he could be himself, away from the expectations of those who knew him back home. This duality, private yet connected, secretive yet social, would become a key piece of the puzzle in understanding his murder. Up next, a double life, lifestyle, and possible motives. A double life, lifestyle, and possible motives. Eustace Compass wasn't just a quiet accountant by day. At night, he frequented Toronto's gay scene, often leaving bars with young men, typically blonde, aged 17 to 23. These weren't casual flings. Many of these men ended up at his home in Vaughan. They were often street hustlers, young people living on the margins looking for stability. Eustace offered them a deal, a place to stay, sometimes for days or weeks in exchange for chores, help with his accounting business, or as some reports suggest, cheap or free sex. It's a dynamic that raises eyebrows. Eustace wasn't always forthcoming with payment, and that could have sparked tension. Detective Jeffrey Evans, who spent time in this cold case, put it bluntly. Maybe he picked up the wrong kid. Was one of these young men driven to violence by a broken promise or a heated dispute? Or did Eustace's lifestyle draw the attention of someone else? Someone with darker intentions. The missing items, jewelry, the tea set, the car, point to robbery, but they weren't high value enough to suggest a planned heist. Could it have been a crime of opportunity? A robbery gone wrong? Or was it personal, with the theft staged to mislead investigators? These questions linger and they take us to the heart of the investigation. The investigation, a trail of clues and dead ends. York Regional Police hit the ground running after the discovery of Eustace's body. The crime scene offered immediate leads. The stolen Chrysler, found abandoned in a Toronto mall, was a big one. Inside the house, the missing items suggested a motive. But the randomness of what was taken muddied the waters. Was this a thief interrupted mid-crime? Or a killer covering their tracks? Investigators canvassed the neighborhood, interviewed neighbors, and dug into Eustace's life. They spoke to a man who'd been with him the day before his death, a potential suspect who was never fully cleared. Another lead emerged. A young man who lived with Eustace but moved to Windsor the day before the murder. Coincidence? Maybe. But his sudden departure raised questions that remain unanswered. Then there were the street hustlers, the transient figures in Eustace's orbit. Tracking them down was like chasing shadows. Many had no fixed address, no paper trail. Add to that Eustace's own secrecy, and the police were left with a fragmented picture. They knew being targeted, but by whom and why? Challenges of the time, societal shadows. To fully grasp why this case went cold, we have to look at the world Eustace lived in. It's 1990. Canada's come a long way since then, but back then, homophobia was a heavy cloud over the gay community. Just 9 years earlier, in 1981, Toronto police raided bathhouses, arresting hundreds in a crackdown that left scars. For many, coming forward to police, especially about a case tied to the gay scene, meant risking exposure, judgment, or worse. Eustace's murder happened against this backdrop. Witnesses who might have seen something at Chaps or Colby's, or who knew the young man he brought home, likely stayed silent. Fear of stigma, distrust or authorities, it all conspired to keep the truth buried. Couple that with the challenges of investigating a victim who kept his life so guarded, you've got a case that was tough to crack from day one. Up next, a glimmer of hope, recent developments. A glimmer of hope, recent developments. For years, the trail stayed cold. But in 2019, a breakthrough, or so it seemed. A fingerprint lifted from the crime scene was matched to a man living in Martha's Vineyard. He once lived with Eustace, making him a person of interest. Investigators held their breath, hoping this was the key. But the timeline didn't fit. He moved away before the murder. Another dead end. Then in 2020, on the 30th anniversary of Eustace's death, York Regional Police took a new tack. They released a video appeal, urging anyone with information to come forward. It was a long shot, a plea to jog memories decades old. But as of today, May 27, 2025, no one has. The case remains open, a file gathering dust, waiting for that one tip to bring it back to life. The unanswered question, what happened? So where does that leave us? What happened to Eustace Compass on that November night in 1990? Was it a robbery that spiraled out of control, the work of a panicked thief? A crime of passion, fueled by resentment or betrayal? Or something else entirely lost to time and silence? The truth is, we don't know. But what we do know is this: someone out there does. Someone saw something, heard something, knows something that could finally give Eustace the justice he deserves. And that's where you come in. A plea for answers. If this story has stirred something in you, if you remember Eustace or the young men he knew, or even that burgundy Chrysler parked at a mall in 1990, please don't stay silent. Reach out to the York Regional Police Homicide Unit, Cold Case Section, at 1-866-876-5423, extension 7865. You can also submit a tip online at yrp.ca/coldcases. If you'd rather stay anonymous, call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. No details too small. A name, a face, a fleeting memory. It could be the missing piece that's eluded us for 34 years. Eustace Compass deserves that. His family deserves that. And we as a community deserve to see this mystery solved. Thank you for joining me in this journey through the unsolved murder of Eustace Compass. Cases like this remind us how fragile justice can be, especially when prejudice and secrecy stand in the way. They also remind us that it's never too late for the truth to come out. This is Ontario Cold Cases, and I'm Jay Nicoll. Till next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep your eyes open. Someone, somewhere holds the key. Because every case deserves answers, and every victim deserves justice. Subscribe now to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. Episodes available wherever you get your podcasts.